There we are. All right, we're back. Sure, everybody knows who I am by now. Let's see, we're going to talk about some golf cart stuff today. We'll see what we can get into. We've got a lot of questions to go over. Greg Elliott says, I heard you, Tim, at the close of last Tuesday's episode. I don't remember. I had signed out, but I was still there, and then I saw your question just barely get in there at the end. And so I unmuted myself, and I can't remember what I said, but I just wanted you to know that I did see you, Greg. Appreciate you being here today. Let's see here. We're live on Facebook and YouTube right now. So if you would like to follow us on Facebook and YouTube, please feel free to follow us. Like and subscribe, whatever you need to do. And if you want to follow us on any of the other platforms, we're everywhere. There's the links. I'm running the links to the TikTok and Instagram and everything else. You can follow us on those platforms also. Let's see here. This is February 16th. I hope everybody had a good Valentine's Day. That was the last episode. It was on the 14th. That was Valentine's Day. Turn that off. All right. Check over here, see what we got going on there. Thing looks cool. Everything looks good. Jen Slinger, what's up? Jen Slinger, hi you Tim. Swaggy G checking in from Sin City. Wanted to remind you to educate the brain trust on how effective the advertising is from logo apparel giveaways, aka swag. Yeah, it is effective, and I appreciate that, and I agree with you. It is effective. It's an effective way of advertising. Ricky Smith, what's up, Ricky? Tim. William Rizzo, what's up, William? Good afternoon, Tim, from the Florida Keys. Man, you make me jealous every time you tell me that, where you're located. That's where, I know you know, that's where I got married. I got married in the Florida Keys. I would love to be able to spend more time there. Let's see. Ricky Smith says swag. It's coming, brother. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. Let's see. Keep on. Oh, Joe Foster in Facebook. What's up, Joe Foster? Just installed some LED lights across two 6-volt batteries. Should I be using a 12-volt reducer? Well, you have two choices there. You can do it the way that you did. You can do it across two 12-volt batteries. That's absolutely fine. It's actually not even as bad nowadays as it used to be years ago, because years ago those lights would have been halogen, and halogen pulled a little bit more than LEDs. So it's actually not frowned upon as much today when you're using LEDs to go across two 6-volt batteries as it used to be. Now, you can use a voltage reducer. What I would do, I would run it across the two 6-volts, and then every now and then, like once a month or if you use your lights a lot, just check your resting voltage on those two batteries and make sure that it's not down further than the rest of your batteries. And if it is, you might want to charge those two up to 12-volt with a 12-volt charger, a deep cycle 12-volt charger. Charge them, put the charger on the same spots you got your LED wires hooked to, and just charge those two batteries to get them balanced with the rest. Or you could rotate, go to those two if they're a little bit out of balance, use it half the year on those two, and then switch to another two batteries, and then switch to the other two. You could rotate like that. But it is not that bad with LEDs nowadays. So yeah, that's perfectly fine what you're doing there. Let's see. Mason Grove. Good afternoon, Tim from Minnesota. Good afternoon to you, Mason. Glad to have you. Keith. Hey, Tim from Palmetto, Florida again. Swag. What's up, Keith? Glad to have you, man. Gene Hansen. Hello, Michigan. Oh, swag. All my swag brothers. It is coming. I'm telling you, it's coming. Let's see. Well, I guess we should get started with the questions. Oh, we got a lot of people in here. Last week, somebody had asked about my golf cart, and I showed some pictures. Well, check this out. Bam! There's one of my golf carts right there. That's the one I use every day, just working around the property. It's a EZGO TXT PDS. It's got a all-tracks 500 amp controller and a big torque motor. It's not fast. It's probably just about normal golf cart speed, but it's very powerful. It'll climb just about anything I need to. Sometimes I have to pull hogs out of the trap or something like that. It'll do that. It'll pull a little small trailer. It's a pretty good setup, but like I said, everything it's not really PDS anymore, because everything that was originally PDS has been changed. That would include the controller and the motor. All the wires are 2-gauge heavy duty solenoid. It's pretty sweet. Anyway, I've got a couple of other golf carts, but I don't have any pictures with me right now, so that's the only one I had a picture of, but I'll get some pictures of the other ones. They're not as exciting as that one. That one's pretty cool. Oh, and by the way, that's a bazooka tube subwoofer in the rear, and behind your legs, when you're sitting in the car behind your knees, the reason, if you'll notice right there on the left side, that's the charging receptacle. I had to relocate the charging receptacle to the side of the golf cart because behind your knees, there's 4 6x9s right there, 6x9 speakers with that amplified subwoofer in the rear. So, you know, I gotta have my Metallica with me when I go out in the woods. You know, that's a necessity. Anyway, so let's see here. We'll get started. Gene Hanson's, okay, I got you. William Rizzo says, nice card. Ricky Smith says, nice, thumbs up, cool. Let's see for question number 1. In regard to cart forward versus reverse speed, 36 volt, and yes, have new batteries. Accelerating faster in reverse than in forward, although not drastic. It absolutely takes off noticeably faster in reverse. So I guess my question is this somewhat common? It is a 2006 EZGO TXT. I also changed the motor a couple of years ago to a torque style, due to it being sluggish going up inclines when loaded with people. And again, the car currently works fine. Just wondering if I have a potential issue going on that's fixable. You could, but it also could be something very simple, is that you could have 2 wires backwards, depending on which cart you use, because which electrical system you're using. In that year, you could either have a PDS, which would be a shunt wound electrical system, or a series cart. You could have, and since you switch that torque motor, sometimes the A1 and the A2 terminals on the torque on motors are different, and your cart may be designed to be slower in reverse than in forward. You know, that's kind of a safety feature. So you might ought to look into that and see if you might have 2 wires backwards, like maybe the F1 and F2 wire if it's shunt, or your other ones on the motor. Let's see. Mason Grove, nice on Metallica. Yeah, man, I'm a Metallica guy from way back, and I like Alter Bridge too, by the way. Let's see. Number 2. Adding a lithium battery to my cart. I have a Kodiak golf cart with a lithium 48 volt 105 amp hour battery, and gives me approximately 25 miles or so. Can I add another one with the same volts and amp hour to the cart to increase the range? You absolutely can. Now, you want to check with your whatever battery manufacturer you have, but yes, that's the whole idea. I mean, that's the whole idea, is that you can contour your lithium pack to the amount of range that you want. And some of the lithium companies will say that it's okay to do within a certain age. Like if the cart is like a year old or something, they'll let you buy another battery and hook it into parallel with your first battery, and that will just double your amp hour, which essentially will double your range. So it just depends on the age. So check with your battery manufacturer to see if they would recommend doing it, you know, because of the age of your current battery. But yes, that's how it works. And if you double it, you'll be doing 50 miles. Let's see. Number 3 is where we're at. Question in relation to amps. I was always taught that when connecting batteries in series, the amperage is not multiplied, however the voltage is. The only way to truly multiply amperage is in parallel. My question is, was I taught incorrectly, or am I missing something? No, you're not missing a thing. When you hook batteries in series, you got let's just say we're talking about 6-volt batteries, okay? Hooking them together in series would mean positive, negative, positive, negative, positive, negative. Okay? Every time you hook a second battery, like if you start with one battery, that's going to be 6 volts. You hook one more battery into that chain, 2 batteries, and they're connected positive to negative. You take a reading there, that's 12 volts. And then it goes to 18, and then so on down the line until you get to 36. The voltage adds 6 volts every time you add another battery when they're connected that way. The amperage does not change in that configuration. So the amps does not change. It stays the same. Amperage is what we always talk about is directly related to the distance that you can drive the golf cart before it needs recharging. Now, in parallel, if you hook in parallel connections aren't negative to positive. Parallel connections are positive to positive, negative to negative. What you did there is that you doubled the amperage of that particular battery. And then so on and so on. If you put a third one, you're going to triple it. You put a fourth one, you're going to triple it. The voltage is still 6 volts. If you did this with 6-volt batteries in this example, the voltage would still be 6 volts no matter how many times you added a battery, positive, positive, negative to negative. It would still be 6 volts. So in other words, you can get as complicated as you would like. You can continue to do series. You can have multiple series connections and then multiple parallel connections in the same battery pack, depending on what you're trying to configure. If you're using smaller batteries or if you have enough room. Anyway, you can get really creative. Like I said, I think I've said this before, in one of my golf carts, I literally have 3 48-volt packs under the seat. Now they're smaller batteries, but there's a 48-volt pack that's connected in series, positive, negative, positive, negative. There's a second 48-volt pack that's connected in series, positive, negative, and a third 48-volt pack that's connected in series, positive, negative, positive, negative. Now all 3 of those 40-volt packs are connected together in parallel. So the volts is still 48 volts, but the amps, have increased every time that I did a parallel connection. It's 3 times the amperage of just one of the single batteries. Anyway, I'll get a picture of that one day. I looked for one, I didn't have one. Jen Singer says, when replacing leaf spring bushings on a club car DS, it's tricky to access the bolt at the top of the rear shackle. Do you have any advice, hacks for this other than removing the rear body panel? I'm trying to remember the last time I did that. I don't remember it being difficult to reach the bolt unless, let's see, on passenger side rear. The top bolt that the shackle, what I mean by the shackles is like that. So you're talking about the top bolt at the top of the shackle. It's difficult to get to. I don't remember that being difficult on the DS, but it's been a little while since I've had to do that. I don't think I know I've done that quite a bit, and I've never had to release the body, to disconnect the body to raise it up for that particular problem. But I have had to take the body and raise it up in order to replace something. I can't remember what it was I was doing. It may have been an onboard computer, and this was a DS that did not have an access panel. And so in order to not cut the body, not cut an access panel, I literally had to disconnect the rear of the body and a bunch of bolts. Well, the good thing about a club car is that it's not riveted like an EZGO. Because on an EZGO, you got to drill out all kinds of rivets, and then you got to have a plan to replace the rivets. The good thing about a club car is it's all little bitty bolts and clips and things, so you can do it without having to re-drill, and you can reuse the same parts. So if you need to do that, then you can. But other than that, I don't really have any tips to get to it. Just with maybe special curved wrenches or something that you can get in there. Let me check over here on Facebook. I hadn't checked over there. Everything's cool. Number 4. have a new 2023 EZGO golf cart. Well, congratulations on that. Is there a way to stop it from getting to top speed and then it backs off and then starts up again and backs off? Is there something I can do to make it go at one steady speed? Well, it sounds like to me that you could be talking about a gas cart. You didn't tell me if it's gas or electric, but the symptom you're describing is almost exactly what the governor on a gas cart does. That's exactly what a governor does. Now, that one may be a little bit tight or something, or maybe a little bit out of adjustment because it's supposed to be smooth. But on a gas cart, that's exactly what happens when the RPMs get to a certain point. The governor will kick in and then pull it back. So it sounds like somebody may have tried to make it go a little bit too fast if we're talking about gas. Now, if we're talking about an electric cart that's doing that, then you definitely need to let somebody take a look at it, or at least put a diagnostic tool on there to see what is causing the variation in the signal that's going to the controller. Whatever potentiometer your particular cart has, being brand new, they could probably plug in and see that variation happening with their computer. They may be able to pinpoint exactly what it is, may be able to program it out too. So you may have to get somebody to look at it with that particular model's computer. Let's see. Greg says, I have a 2016 Yamaha Drive 29, 48 volt cart, lead acid batteries. Unplugged LED headlight, probed the connector, it showed 8.3 to 8.5. I thought lights worked off 12. Help me understand. You are correct. The lights do work off 12, Greg. So, but you've got, let's see, in your cart, since it is a 48 volt cart, I'm assuming from what you're saying here, you have 6 8-volt batteries in there, correct? And if you have 6 8-volt batteries, it sounds like to me that your lights are only hooked to one of those batteries, or unless you have a voltage reducer. Do you have a voltage reducer in your cart? Okay, yes on what? The voltage reducer, or you have 6 8-volt batteries? Don't know. Okay, well, that's what it sounds like to me, is that you have 6 8-volt batteries and your headlights are only getting power from one of your batteries because you got 6 8-volts. That's what it sounds like to me, because that's normal voltage for an 8-volt battery. So that who puts your headlights in has got them hooked to one 8-volt battery, and that shouldn't be very bright at all, because they should be hooked to 12. So you only have really one choice in order to get 12 volts in that particular setup. You've got to get a voltage reducer. A voltage reducer will hook to your entire pack. On one end of the voltage reducer, you'll have wires that goes to 48 volts. You'll hook it across your entire pack. On the other side of the voltage reducer, you'll have some wires coming out. That's a usable 12 volts, and that's what you hook your lights to. And that way the lights will be running off your entire battery pack at once. Okay, says gotcha. Yep, cool. All right. Joe Foster on Facebook says, 2003 TXT. Last year I had a bad battery, dead cell. Is it time to replace the batteries? Do I need to purchase 6 new batteries or 5 and use the replaced battery? My grandson is tired of being the test pilot and tow home. Well, you see, you had how new are your batteries, or did you tell me that already? Just install some new LED lights. Should be okay. It depends, you can replace I say this all the time, you can replace the one dead battery and it will fix your problem. It'll fix the problem. But depending on how old the rest of your batteries are, it may not be advisable. I would tell my customers that would come into my shop when we would find one cell or one bad battery in their pack, if the rest of their batteries is over 3 years old, I'd probably replace the whole set and be done with it. I wouldn't even I wouldn't worry with it, because if you put a brand new battery in there with 3-year-old batteries or 3.5-year-old batteries, it's not going to be long down the road. It's going to seem like, it's going to seem very, very quick to you. Time passes quicker and quicker as we get older. And one day you're going to have another one, and you're going to replace that one, and then 6 months later you're going to have another one go out. So you have to, you got to make a decision there. What is the timeline that you should replace the whole pack rather than just switching one battery? So that's up to you to decide. To me, it's around 3 to 3.5 years old, because lead acid batteries generally last in a golf cart state or golf cart part of the country where they're used 365 days a year, like in the South. They generally last, I would tell my customers, anywhere between 4 and 5 years, depending on how they're taken care of. So I hope that answers your question there, Joe. That would be my advice. My advice is that it's up to you to decide, depending on how old they are. Okay. MDJ65 on YouTube. What's up, MDJ65? I installed rear disc brakes a couple of years ago, and I'm having an issue with the brakes squealing every time I brake. Greg Elliott says thanks. Okay, MGJ65, are you talking about mechanical disc brakes, or are you talking about some type of hydraulic disc brakes? Because on the rear, it's more common on the rear to have some mechanical ones, and we sell replacement pads, for that. If it's just it might be a pad issue. Okay, so you got the 𝗪𝗲𝗃𝗀𝘀 mechanical disc. That's exactly what I have on my cart that I showed a picture of earlier. And we sell replacement pads. Have you tried that yet? Because you can replace the pads. I mean, whatever you do, don't oil them. Oh, so you've replaced the pads? Not yet. Okay, well that's what I would do. That'd be the easiest thing, is get a new set of pads if it bothers you that much. Yeah, don't oil them. Let's see. Number 5 is where we were at on regular questions. Been having the issue since they were new. Well, I've never had that squealing issue. I've got those on 2 of my carts. I've got those on that TXT that I posted a picture of earlier, and I've got those on my actual my really fast cart that goes crazy fast. I've got them on it too. I would try using hydraulic disc brakes on the front of the race car, but that was too squirrely. When I would hit the brakes going that fast at the end of the track, that didn't work out very well. So the mechanical disc on the rear worked out really good, and so they've hit. I've tapped those brakes many times doing over 60 miles an hour, and I don't have a squeal in them either. Maybe try this. This is a little trick that I have learned over the years on drum brake cars, not disc brake. I haven't ever had to use it on disc brake, but on drum brake cars, sometimes if they squeak, or squeal a little bit, I would actually hold the brake and keep the car rolling. Don't stall the car, but hold the brake a little bit and make the car roll. In other words, put a lot of pressure on the brake and kind of burn that dust off, because a lot of times it could be some kind of buildup either on the disc or the pad itself, and in a drum brake it could be on the inside of the rotor. So I would kind of burn that off for a little while, and sometimes that would help, because on a disc brake it's going to be much different, but that would be the first thing I would try to see if I could actually make the noise go away no matter what I did. I mean, if you did it all the time, then I would change the pads, but stomp on them really hard a few times and see if anything changes, is what I'm saying. Let's see. Joe Foster on Facebook says 5 batteries are the older ones and 1 battery is the newer one. Got to replace the 5. At least was wondering about the one I replaced last year. Well, like I said, Joe, that's up to you. If you want to have mismatched years, it will be fine and it will work, but it could cause you problems down the road. So that's up to you how you want to handle that. MDJ65 says, okay, thanks. That's cart number 5. We're on number 5, I think, or for number 6. 5. Okay, yeah, we're on number 5 over here. This is a lithium question. I knew we were going to talk about lithium today. Lithium's always exciting. I recently installed lithium batteries in my 48 volt 2004 Club Car Precedent. They work great, very happy. One problem, it has factory headlights and taillights. When I turned them on, they blew out. I'm guessing the factory voltage reducer was connected to only 2 of the 12 volt Trojan batteries. So I guess I need to replace the converter with one rated for 48 volts. The problem is I don't know where the converter is or what to get to replace it or even how to connect it. Have you had this issue before and how do I fix it? Well, you know, it's funny, if your car had 4 12 volt batteries in it, your headlights could have been connected to just one of the 12 volt batteries and they would have worked fine before. That may be why. Your car may not have a voltage reducer because it could have been because your lights and tail lights are just 12 volts. So it's very likely that they were just hooked to one of your 12 volt batteries. And then when you put your 48 volt lithium in there, you hooked it to 48 and blew it. So my point is you're going to have to get a voltage reducer if that's the case. You can get, I would recommend a 48 volt to 12 volt reducer. And it will come with complete instructions and tell you exactly what you need to do. I just said something about it earlier on one of the other questions. It's going to hook across your entire battery pack on one side of the voltage reducer. It's going to have wires coming out to hook to your battery pack, the whole battery pack, your first battery positive and your last battery negative. And on the other side of the voltage reducer, it's going to have wires coming out that your lights are going to hook to because it's going to make a usable 12 volt drop there. It's actually a voltage reducer. That's why it's called that, because it drops the voltage to a usable 12. And then you put a switch on one of those lines to turn your headlights on and off. It's that simple. But like I said, there'll be complete instructions. Let's see. Joe Foster says, thanks for the info. Love the program. Swag. Got swag coming in. Request on Facebook and YouTube, by the way. Just putting that out there. Jen Slinger on YouTube says, when upgrading a controller, should I upgrade my forward and reverse to an HD unit? If so, can you recommend specs or brand? What are we talking about here? We're talking about a series cart, not a cart that does not have a run tow switch. Is that what kind of cart we're talking about? Like maybe your Club Car DS that is a series cart? Is that the one we're talking about? Because if it's well, I'll just go ahead and answer for both of them. If you're talking about a cart with a run tow switch, series cart, yeah, okay. In a series cart, that it's not 100% necessary, but it may become necessary. And you know, just a club car, heavy duty forward and reverse switch. There's the only difference between that stock forward and reverse switch that's in your cart now, in that series cart, and a heavy duty one. The only difference between those two switches is the thickness of the copper bus bars that are inside there. The heavy duty one has a little bit thicker copper bus bars. And in fact, if you're creative with tools and some bar stock, copper bar stock, you can do it yourself if you would like. You can actually put some thicker bus bars in there yourself. I've done that myself. I bought a long piece of copper bus bar, the right width and the right thickness that I wanted, and I cut it into the right length and drilled holes in it and installed that in it. And I did that in an EZGO forward and reverse switch when I was running a mechanical forward and reverse switch. But in a club car, you could probably do the same thing. If not, just get a heavy duty forward and reverse switch for a DS club car and you'll be good to go. But I wouldn't worry about it if you're not developing any heat in your stock one. If you're not getting any heat in your stock forward and reverse switch, then don't worry about it. That's only becomes necessary if you start developing heat. That means you got a little bottleneck there that's trying to pass amps that it's not able to pass. When you get to Vegas, I'll buy some copper. All right, cool. Let's see. That was number 5. Number 6. I installed a Nilight ZH009 light bar kit on a 98 Club Card DS 48 volt. The card has aftermarket tail lights and are wired into the 12 volt side of the 48 volt to 12 volt reducer. There is a relay in the light kit wire harness. The rocker switch turns the two light bars I'm using as headlights on and off just fine, but as soon as I connect the power, the tail lights come on and stay on. What have I connected wrong, or is the relay in the wire harness not working properly? Well, I looked up that light bar. That's not really before this episode I looked up that light bar so I know what I was looking at or what I was talking about. That's not really a golf cart specific setup. That's an automobile specific setup. So I'm not sure, anything about that wiring harness, but obviously you have something in the wiring harness that's causing your taillights to come on. So you've got a couple of choices there. You could cut one of the wires and that would turn your headlight off. Your taillights off. Cut one of the wires. Find which one. If you cut it, it would turn the taillights off, and put a switch in that wire, and then you can do your taillights on and off. But other than that, that's a modification you're going to have to figure out yourself. Using that light bar with that wiring harness, since it's not really a golf cart specific application, and you're trying to mix two different products together there. Number 7, as soon as I go over here, number 7, where am I at? There am I at. I have an EZGO that will not move at all. The voltage is 36, not sure what year. It has done this a couple of times. I pull the cover off the control module, loosen a couple of the solenoid cables, and the problem goes away. It's 36 volt, but voltmeter reads 35 something. Well, you have to understand, in a 36 volt car, if you've got a digital voltmeter, which that's what you said, and you put it across your entire pack and it reads, that battery pack reads 36.0 volts. That is considered a dead battery pack in the golf cart world. That's the dead battery pack, 36.0. There's a big difference between reading 36.0 and like 37.3, something like that. There's a big difference. That's the difference between being fully charged and dead, right there. So if you're below 36, your battery pack is actually considered below dead if it's below 36 volts. And so that could be your whole problem. I know I always say this, but you need to eliminate your batteries as being the problem first. What you're describing could be a couple of different things. It could be the fact that you think that you fixed it by loosening the wires. You just may have given the controller time to cool down. That may be all you did. You may not have had to loosen the wires. You may have just needed to let the car cool down a little bit and let the controller cool down, and it would take off again. That would mean that your controller has been going into thermal shutdown. Or it could also mean your batteries went dead, or you got one battery that dropped out. The symptoms of that actually feel the same. Controller shutdown, thermal shutdown, and a battery dropping out feels the same on the golf cart to the operator. So a lot of people get those confused. Let's see. Number 8. I have a 97 EZGO 36 volt cart running Trojan batteries. They were good for 30 miles on a full charge, and the little motor's max speed of 12.5 until the 5.5 year mark, and they have begun to fade. That's understandable and sounds completely normal so far. The cart is in excellent mechanical condition but slow. A new set of 6 Trojan batteries will cost $950 plus installation. New carts are off the chart expensive. Would a lithium battery and peppier motor be a good option? Is there an option to stick with lead batteries but run a peppier motor? Well, the answer to that question is it just boils down to what are you willing to do as far as money goes? Because Lithium's always an option. Lithium is an option even if you didn't do any other changes. I mean, that would be a good option for anyone who's willing to spend that much money for their new battery pack. And that they're advertising like 10 years, lifespan. Not 4 years like what we were talking about earlier, 4 to 5. They're talking about double lifespan. Now, we don't actually have that much long-term data on that like we do on lead acid. That's why when we say 4 to 5 years on lead acid instead of Trojans, that's pretty accurate, if you use your golf cart a lot, because we have lots of long-term data on that. Now on the lithiums, we don't have as much, but we're getting more all the time. Every year that passes, we're getting more long-term data on lithium. And I haven't heard any downside to lithium at all. So lithium would be fine if you just need to make a decision on if you want to spend that much, or you just want to spend the $1,000 and put a new lead acid pack in there. And you could absolutely get a peppier motor with a new lead acid pack, but you have to understand you might not get as long of a longevity out of your pack if you put a peppier motor than you did with that 12.5 miles an hour motor, because the peppier motor is going to be pulling harder on your new set of batteries. But starting out with a new lead acid pack is a good option also. So either one, it's just up to you. That question just boils down to money. Let's see here. Number 9 is where we're at. I just purchased a used golf cart, Yamaha. First time left charger on all night. Next morning, light on the charger indicated charge complete. I raised the seat and noticed liquid on top of most of the batteries. Since some of the liquid even dripped on the floor. Should I be concerned? No, you shouldn't be concerned, but that is a pain. That's another advantage to going lithium, is that you don't have problems like that. Most likely, the batteries are just a little bit full of water, a little bit too full of water, or acid. That water is not actually water, it's acid, and it will etch your concrete. So it'd be good to try to fix the issue. The issue is most likely, like I said, that they are a little bit too full. All the way to the top's too full. So clean them off. Put you a mat or something on the ground where you're going to park your golf cart. Put something on the ground that you don't mind ruining, if it's cloth, because of that acid's going to ruin anything cloth, or some kind of plastic mat where you park the golf cart would be ideal. And then check your water level. Now, don't take water out. I don't recommend removing water, because if it's leaking out, then eventually it's going to remove enough on its own. So just continue to use the cart, and it should get better and better and better as long as you don't add any more. So don't add any more water. Let that burn off. Let that excess get out of there. That would be what I would do. That may take a while before that happens, but no, that's not something for you to be concerned about. But it is something that you might want to address. And like I said, don't remove the water. Tommy Ramsher in YouTube says, swag. What's up, Tommy? Got you, man. I hear you. Number 10, last scheduled question. I have a 2000 EZGO TXT Freedom golf cart. I just ordered 2 new rear hubs to fix a grinding noise from the right rear wheel area. They are great, and thanks for the fast service. Now my issue is that it didn't fix my grinding issue. There was some wear on the hub, so I replaced it anyway, but with any forward or backward movement, it grinds badly. I think it may be a wheel bearing, but not sure. Also not sure how to replace, as they don't seem to have any YouTube videos showing it. Could you provide any installation help? Okay, I'll give you some tips here. You got a grinding noise in the rear, all right? You got bearings everywhere, by the way, so it could be a number of things. I'm going to tell you what the most common thing is in a second. But you was talking about a wheel bearing. Well, here's the thing about a golf cart. If you raise the rear of a golf cart, if you get a floor jack, or you get some jack stands, or ever how you would change a flat on a golf cart, whatever you can use to get both wheels off the ground in the rear. The easiest way is with a floor jack. Get both wheels off the ground, and you're going to have somebody help you do this. If you could get a second person to hold one of the tires with their hands, just hold it, and step on the gas pedal just a little bit and let the other one spin, because you can actually hold one tire on a golf cart rear end and stop it, and the other one will spin. And then you move to the other side, you can hold that tire and stop it, and the other one will spin. If the grinding noise never changes, then it's not your axle bearings in either rear wheel. You don't have a wheel bearing in the rear wheels, you have axle bearings in the rear wheels. And the most common thing that it probably is a motor bearing. That motor, the electric motor, has one bearing inside the motor, and it can cause a heck of a racket when it goes out. So you might need to change your motor bearing. If you eliminate the axle bearings as being the problem first, then eliminate the motor bearing. And after that, the next most common would be the input shaft bearing, which is right where the motor connects. But I'm betting it's motor bearing, because everybody that came to my shop that was complaining of a grinding sound from the rear end that was working forward and reverse, it was the motor bearing almost all the time. Let's see. That was the last scheduled question. Let me check Facebook here. We're cool over there. I'll run those social media links again. If you like this content, please follow us on Facebook and YouTube, like we are right now. We're live on Facebook and YouTube right now. And that's the social media links if you'd like to follow us on any other platform. Also, remember that I am part of the Gearheads on Demand service that we offer at Golf Cart Garage. You can actually schedule a call with me. You can set up a call where I will call you and talk to you one-on-one about your golf cart related issue, or whatever your issue may be. You know, I may be able to help you with something else, but mainly I'm supposed to be the golf cart guy. So if you're interested in that, click the link in the description. That'll take you to the scheduling page. Also, guess what? Got a new video code, but I don't seem to have it working right. Oh, that ain't right. Here it is. There we go. Okay, there's the new coupon code. Get 5% off any parts you order at golfcartgarage.com if you use the coupon code TIM8, T-I-M-8. Code expires on March the 10th, 2023. You get 5% off any parts you would like to order. So remember that code. And let's see, that's cool on that one. Let that run. That is going to be about it for me. I appreciate everybody participating in the live. Thank you, Joe, on Facebook. Thank you, Jen, Slinger, Tommy, MDJ65, Greg Elliott, William Rizzo, Ricky Smith, Mason, Gene Hansen, Keith. That looks like about it. And remember, I am working on the swag. Jen Slinger, I'll take that beer, man. I'll take it. I will. All right. That's going to be it for me. I will see everybody on Tuesday. Thank you all for coming. The garage is now closed. Oh, no tip. Kurt, thank you for reminding me, dude. I do have a tip. Okay. This week's tip. I get this question a lot. I did have a tip prepared. I'm glad you stopped me. I get this question a lot. Someone's thinking of upgrading their cart, and they think that eventually they want to go all out and do everything, which is, you know, if cost was no object, everybody would have a lithium cart with a Navitas AC system in it, and they'd have all that at the same time if money was no object. Well, if you can't have all that, you've got some other options. I always recommend changing the controller first, but I did that for years. If you're going to do it, change the controller first, because that's going to be the foundation. That was before lithium was so available. Nowadays, I'd say still change the controller first, because stock controllers, a lithium pack on a stock controller, it's going to make that controller work pretty hard. A lithium pack is going to cause that controller to operate at its full potential. And you might want to upgrade that controller first anyway, is what I'm saying. Get that ready for your lithium pack. So go controller, go lithium, then motor. Well, motor and controller solenoid first. Controller and a heavy duty solenoid first. That should be the first thing you do. That way you're ready for anything else down the line, because then you're ready for your lithium pack, and then you're ready for your high speed motor or your upgraded motor, whether you want a speed or torque, and you're ready for everything else on down the line. That would be the order I would go in. That would be controller, lithium, motor. Controller, solenoid together. Lithium and then motor. That'd be the order I'd go in. That's this week's tip. And thank you, Kurt, for reminding me about that. All right. Garage is now closed. Thank everybody for coming.